SG of the Safina party, and also looking at what it's very... no sides taken, but very clear from the very beginning what Safina has been talking about for the longest time. And that is you have to sort out the economy, you have to make sure that you're not paying debt towards where it shouldn't be in terms of odious debt, and you have to make sure that you're actually putting money in the pockets of Kenyans. It has not been it's not far removed from that. It has been very clear.
Yes.
We're in budget period. Budget has already been set. The finance bill, which gives life to the budget, is what is currently being discussed.
Yes.
And whether it will then become an act, and then we know how Kenya is going to borrow its money for the next 1 year.
Yes.
Is it a Mwananchi budget?
It's not. It's not.
Right.
Because I can see most of the discussions are based on the finance bill in this budget-making process. But before we even look at the finance bill, the questions we need to ask ourselves is, why do we need a finance bill? In what circumstances is the finance bill relevant in this whole process? Because in my understanding is that when you table budget before Parliament, you have to highlight the projected expenditure of government in the coming financial year. So it's detailed, state departments, these, health, these, everything. So we know how much we need to spend. Then on the other side, you have to also highlight the revenue streams that we have, which means you have to highlight estimates of revenue. So you have to tell us where we are going to get, how much are we going to get money from fees, how much are we going to get from licenses, how much are we going to get from taxation and customs. So once we know that, now because these two sides have to balance, the expenditure side and the revenue side. When there is disparity, that the two sides are not in balance, then that's when you now introduce a finance bill to amend the existing tax regime to get some more money so that it balances with the expenditure side. So in this budget that we are discussing, do we have revenue estimates tabled in Parliament? We do not know which shortfall we are covering with the finance bill. Before we even discuss the contents of it, what is its relevance in this whole project? Because how much are we projecting to raise with our revenue? How much are we projecting to spend? And what's the shortfall?
Well, they've told you already. You're going to raise some 3-something trillion. And then you're going to borrow maybe 1.1 trillion. We need to borrow 1.1 trillion in order to make the 4.8 trillion shilling budget. 4.82 trillion shillings is what the budget looks like this year. You have a shortfall already been estimated of 1.1 trillion shillings. So by and large, that is what is going to be borrowed, whether it will be borrowed domestically or externally.
Now, in that budget, have they highlighted the domestic borrowing estimates? So that document does not have it. So when Parliament passes that document, it means that it will be without any estimate of borrowing internally. So there will be no vote head on any domestic borrowing. So any domestic borrowing that shall be done in the next financial year will be illegal. So they are setting ground for another odious debt of domestic, the domestic one, in the next financial year. So any coin that will be borrowed next year is already, the ground has been set for it to be illegal. And again, that revenue estimates, it's not there in that book, in that document tabled by Mbadi. He can table it if he wants, but he has not. We do not know how much money we are going to get from customs duty, how much money we are going to get from VAT. So even as we talk about the finance bill coming to amend the existing acts to create some more coin, we need to understand those estimates. Where are they? Because those are the estimates that shall be passed by Parliament. So without them, why do we need this document? And a finance bill is not a compulsory document in our budget making process. If we already have a debt going to 13 trillion, why do we need a budget of 4.8? I mean, how much are we, if we are going to get a lot of money from our own taxes, it will not be beyond 2.6 trillion. And our budget is 4.8. So where do we get the 1.1? And we already have a debt of 13 trillion. 13, which means in the next financial year before it's over, will be 14 point something. So until when?
I mean, Joakim, you've raised something that is critical in terms of the finance bill and the estimates of what debt will be borrowed domestically. How important, how critical is it for that to be there, for that finance bill then to be legal, or even this debt that will be borrowed to be legal?
It means that whatever we are going to borrow will not be approved by Parliament. So without the approval of Parliament, there is no way you can bind that debt to a sovereign of the country, because our representatives are in Parliament. Those are the ones who are going to look at the numbers and approve it on our behalf. So in the absence of those numbers, what are the members of Parliament passing? Because every borrowing has a vote head. So we are borrowing 200 billion to refurbish roads. So without it in the books, why are we borrowing it? For what? So that gives them a leeway to borrow to pay the existing debts. Because when they put it there, they have to highlight why it's there. And now that it's not there, they can borrow for anything. They can borrow to pay debts. They can borrow to pay SGR operations. Because recently I came to realize that the Railway Development Levy, they used 18 billion of it to pay SGR operator.
This is interesting.